Would you say that $600 million on a ballroom, half of which is paid for from American taxpayers, is that a good fiscal decision? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, 600 what?
$600 million on a ballroom, half of which is from American taxpayers. Is that a good fiscal decision?
The nominee for Chief Financial Officer at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, he brought his resume as a former auditor. He boasted about his strict commitment to fiscal responsibility and catching government waste. But he severely underestimated the lawmaker sitting across from him. This is what happens when a career auditor is forced to sit under oath and defend the most expensive, ridiculous vanity projects in modern presidential history.
Yes or no?
Oh, I'm not going to get involved in what the White House is doing or opining.
Would you be able to answer this question? As HUD CFO, this is literally the job, stewarding the public money instead of watching it get set on fire. So let's try a much easier one. How about $5 million in taxpayer dollars on gilding statues? Would that be a good decision?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
How about nearly $8 million of taxpayer money to paint the Eisenhower building white? Would that be a good decision on money?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Look at the sheer desperation on his face. The "I don't know what you're talking about" defense. Except everyone in Washington knows exactly what the congressman is talking about. These aren't hidden, obscure line items. The administration has been on a highly publicized crusade to deface the historic granite of the Eisenhower Executive Office Building with $8 million of bright white paint just because the president doesn't like how it looks. Add in $5 million to literally dip statues in gold, and you have the absolute definition of a taxpayer-funded slush fund. This nominee was put up for the job specifically to catch government waste. But the moment the waste has the president's signature on it, this so-called auditor suddenly develops financial amnesia. But the congressman is just warming up. Watch what happens when he connects the dots between these golden statues and the devastating cost everyday Americans are paying for them.
Well, I haven't gotten to the other $6 trillion this administration is dumping onto the national debt over the next 10 years with the One Big Beautiful Bill, a bill that has ripped health care and SNAP benefits away from many, many Arizonans and millions of Americans, and blowing hundreds of millions of dollars on a ballroom and vanity projects isn't really fiscally responsible whatsoever, while Americans are getting screwed right now. So the reason I ask this question is people are wondering what's going to happen with this country and this country's budget and their money. So hardworking Arizonans aren't really a slush fund for this administration. They're vanity projects.
Hardworking Americans aren't a slush fund. That is the kill shot. This wasn't just a debate about bad interior design or gold-plated statues. The congressman laid bare the ultimate hypocrisy of this administration. Ramming through a piece of legislation they literally call the One Big Beautiful Bill that slashes health care and food assistance for millions of vulnerable Americans just to turn around and blow hundreds of millions on White House ballrooms and paint jobs. The supposed auditor sat there frozen, completely unable to defend the indefensible. Because there is no defense. You cannot claim to be the party of fiscal responsibility while setting taxpayer money on fire for presidential vanity projects. This man is auditioning to be the chief financial officer for a massive federal agency, a job entirely dedicated to stewarding public funds. And the exact moment he is confronted with a $600 million bill for a White House ballroom, his immediate instinct is to duck for cover. Notice the visible panic in his voice when he stammers, "600 what?" He knows exactly how indefensible this is. The administration has been throwing hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars at lavish event spaces, while everyday Americans foot the bill. But the congressman isn't letting him off the hook that easily. If the auditor won't talk about the ballroom, maybe he'll talk about the gold and the paint. Keep watching.